I never thought walking away from a man I once loved would be the easiest part of my story. The real nightmare started after I tried to take back control of my life. My name is Karina. I'm 20 years old, and until recently, I lived with my boyfriend Artem. For almost a year, we tried to make things work. But trying was all me. I was the one paying for groceries, rent, and even his phone bills, while he stayed glued to the couch, promising a better future that never came. I kept waiting for him to get up and do something, anything, but eventually I realized love isn't about waiting for someone to become who they should be. It's about recognizing when they never will. The day I left, I packed my things quietly. When he noticed, he looked up from his game controller like I was some commercial interrupting his fun. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Away from you," I said. "You can't be serious," he laughed nervously. "You promised you'd help me get on my feet." "I promised to support you," I said, "but not to carry you forever." He tried to stop me, pulling on my arm. "Karina, I love you." "Stuff your love where the sun doesn't shine," I hissed and slammed the door. The next morning, I walked into a job interview with the kind of confidence only desperation can bring. It was a marketing company specializing in industrial refrigeration systems, nothing sexy, but solid. The director, Pavel, was surprisingly warm. Handsome in a quiet, powerful way, but it was his attention to my ideas that made me feel seen. "Why do you want this position?" he asked. "Because I'm done depending on people who disappoint me," I said. I could tell he wasn't used to hearing blunt honesty. But instead of flinching, he smiled. "You're hired," he said. Just like that. I felt like I was waking up from a long, horrible dream. Within hours, I was signing papers and given access to the firm's marketing strategy files. That same day, Pavel offered me a company apartment. "One bedroom," he said. "It's usually for employees on business trips, but you can have it under one condition: invite me to the housewarming." I smiled. Deal. I met his wife the next day. Beautiful, composed, not at all the icy trophy type I expected. "This is Karina," Pavel said, introducing me. "My new deputy." His wife extended her hand graciously. "Welcome. I hope my husband isn't working you too hard yet." I laughed nervously. Her grace was disarming. A woman that confident should have intimidated me, but instead, I admired her. She felt like someone I could trust. My first week flew by in a blur of strategy meetings and midnight research. I wanted to prove that hiring me was the right decision. I barely slept, barely ate. One evening, as I left late again, I bumped into Pavel and his wife in the parking garage. She teased him, "Don't you dare overwork her. She's prettier when she's not stressed." We all laughed. I didn't notice the way her eyes lingered. But not everyone was so friendly. A few days later, I came home to find red paint splattered all over my clothes. Every blouse, every skirt, ruined. My heart dropped. It had to be Artem. He was the only one who'd ever held a grudge against me that deep. I rushed to his place, furious. "You psycho. You think destroying my clothes will bring me back?" He smirked like a child caught stealing candy. "I didn't do anything," he said. "Must have been karma." I slapped him. "Stay out of my life. I'm done playing games." I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. A week later, Pavel invited me to dinner after work. "Strictly professional," he said. "I want to understand your vision better." I hesitated. "Won't your wife mind?" "She trusts me," he replied simply. At dinner, he was the perfect gentleman, smart, funny, respectful. But when he walked me to my door, there was a pause. A long, heavy silence. "May I come in for a quick coffee?" he asked. I don't want this night to end yet." I opened my mouth to say something, but my phone rang. It was his wife. I answered. "Where's Pavel?" she demanded. "He said he was with you." I froze. "Yes," I stammered. "He's just leaving." The next morning, I walked into my office and found it trashed. Drawers open. Papers scattered. Coffee spilled over my desk. My first instinct was Artem again, but he didn't even have access. I asked the secretary if she'd seen anything suspicious. "Only the new IT guy," she shrugged. "Tall? Dark hair?" I asked. "Yes. Kinda moody looking." My blood went cold. That was Artem. He got himself hired at the company, without me knowing. I marched straight to the IT department. "What the hell are you doing here?" I hissed. "Working," he said. "Didn't know you were here too." "Liar. You followed me. I needed a job. You think the world revolves around you." But I knew the truth. He came here to destroy what I'd built. I wanted to scream. Instead, I forced myself to smile and walk away. If I lost my temper, I'd be the one accused of being unstable. And I couldn't afford that. But the worst was yet to come. That weekend, Pavel called me into his office. "We have a business trip," he said. "You and me. Just a quick meeting with a client." I hesitated. "Can't Katia go with you?" "She doesn't know the project like you do," he said firmly. "And if this is going to be a problem, I'll have to reconsider your role here." I swallowed my fear. "Okay, I'll go." I had no idea that saying yes to that trip would change my life forever. The hotel room was a trap, and I walked into it like a fool. When we arrived for the business trip, the receptionist looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, Mr. Director," she said. "There's been a mistake with your reservation. We only have one room available, double occupancy." I looked at Pavel, expecting him to raise hell or demand a correction. Instead, he simply nodded. "We'll take it." Take it? No second thought? No attempt to fix it? My stomach turned. Once we were inside, I saw the bed. One large bed. Not even a couch to retreat to. I stood by the window pretending to enjoy the view, but all I could hear was my pulse thundering in my ears. "Look," he said, breaking the silence, "this wasn't what I planned. But we're professionals, right?" Then, as if that solved everything, he pulled a bottle of champagne from his suitcase. "Meant to give this to the client, but I guess that's not happening. Shall we?" He poured 2 glasses before I could answer. I didn't want to make a scene. I didn't want to lose the job that had finally given me hope. So I raised my glass and drank. I told myself it was just one night, just a misunderstanding, that I could handle myself. But something in the way he watched me made my skin crawl. That night, I didn't sleep. I waited until he passed out from too much champagne, then quietly dressed, slipped out, and wandered the city streets until sunrise. I returned only to shower, change, and pretend none of it happened. Back at the office, I thought the worst was over. I was wrong. Rumors started circulating before I even stepped out of the elevator. Whispers. Looks. One of the junior managers smirked as I passed. The secretary, Katia, barely met my eyes. By lunch, someone had scrawled "promotion by seduction" on my desk calendar. I wanted to scream. I wanted to go to Pavel and demand he tell everyone the truth. But when I walked into his office, he was cool, distant. "This is a professional workplace, Karina," he said before I could open my mouth. "Don't bring personal drama into it." I stared at him. "You think I started this?" "I didn't say that," he replied. "But if you can't handle the pressure, maybe you're not right for the role." The betrayal stung more than anything Artem ever did. That afternoon, Katia blocked me from entering Pavel's office. "There's already someone in there," she said smugly. "You'll have to wait your turn, Deputy Director." I had to clench my fists to stop myself from reacting. I felt eyes on me, everyone watching, waiting for me to explode. But I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. I called Katia that night, hoping to talk. "I need a friend," I said. "Artem's back in my life. He's doing things. I don't know who else to turn to." "I'm sorry," she replied flatly. "We're colleagues, Karina. Not friends." And just like that, she hung up. I didn't cry. I couldn't afford to. Instead, I reached out to the one person I never thought I'd lean on, Pavel's wife. I caught her near the parking garage. "Can I talk to you?" I asked. She looked surprised but nodded. "I think someone's trying to sabotage me," I said carefully. "It's not just the gossip. My files have been tampered with. My office was trashed. And I'm pretty sure Artem's behind it." She listened without interrupting. Then she said, "Don't involve my husband in this, Karina. You'll only make it worse for yourself. If Pavel has doubts, your career here is over." But I didn't. I started. "You think I don't know what happened on that trip?" she interrupted. "You think I haven't seen this before? My husband is many things. Faithful isn't one of them. But I don't destroy women just because they made a mistake. Keep your head down, and don't give him a reason to turn on you." I was speechless. Her words were cold, but not cruel. She wasn't jealous. She was practical. This was just another storm she learned to walk through. I wasn't built that way. The next day, I received my first big solo assignment, presenting our proposal to a new international client. Everything hinged on this deal. If I pulled it off, maybe I could silence the rumors. Maybe I could save my job. I worked day and night. I didn't sleep. I skipped meals. But the morning of the meeting, I got locked inside the women's restroom. Literally locked. I banged on the door until my fists were raw. I screamed. No one came. When someone finally opened it 2 hours later, the meeting was over. Katia apologized sweetly. I thought the bathroom was empty, she said. So I turned the lock from the outside. Pure accident. Right. I confronted Artem, thinking maybe he was involved. What the hell are you playing at? I shouted. You want me to lose everything? But this time, he looked genuinely shocked. Karina, he said quietly, I swear I had nothing to do with this. I don't believe you. I spat. You ruined my life once, and now you're doing it again. If I wanted to destroy you, he said, you'd already be gone. I hated that I almost believed him. Later that night, someone destroyed my work laptop. Smashed it outside the office. When I found it, I dropped to my knees. It wasn't just hardware. It was my future. My notes, my drafts, the proposal, everything gone. I saw red. I'm going to ruin you, I whispered, not sure if I meant Artem, Katia, or Pavel. But one thing was clear, I had no allies left. Or so I thought. That night, I found Artem outside my building. I know what happened, he said. Give me the laptop. It's useless, I muttered. Everything's gone. Just let me try. I don't know why I gave it to him. Maybe part of me still trusted the boy he used to be. Maybe I had no one else. He worked all night. I watched from the kitchen as he pored over the broken machine, dismantling, soldering, cursing. At sunrise, he looked up and said, I got the files. I couldn't believe it. But that wasn't all. I also got this, he said, holding up a USB drive. Security footage. From the hallway last night. You'll want to see it. I took it, plugged it into my monitor, and hit play. The video showed someone in a hooded coat smashing my laptop with a heavy flashlight. But when the hood slipped back, I saw the face. And my blood froze. It wasn't Katia. It wasn't Artem. It was Pavel's wife. I stared at the screen, frozen. There she was, Svetlana Andreevna, the woman who once called me her friend, smashing my laptop like it meant nothing. Her face was twisted in cold focus, not anger. It was deliberate. Controlled. She didn't even flinch as she raised the flashlight again and again until the device lay in pieces. I felt sick. All this time, I thought she was the only one in that office who supported me. When everyone turned their backs, when the whispers grew louder, when Pavel distanced himself, she was still kind. Supportive. Calculated. My thoughts spun out of control. Why? Why would she do this? What could possibly drive her to sabotage me so cruelly? Then it hit me. She knew. She had always known. About Pavel. About the hotel. Maybe even before it happened. Maybe she expected it. And maybe, just maybe, she decided to let it happen, only to use it against me when the time was right. A twisted game of control. I showed the footage to Artem. He sat in stunned silence, running a hand through his hair. Well, he said eventually, that explains everything. Not everything, I said, my voice shaking. Pavel knew about the laptop before I told anyone. I never said a word. But when I confronted him, he already knew it was destroyed. You think, she told him? Artem asked. I shook my head. No. I think he was in on it. It made sense. The locked bathroom. The rumors. The coordinated pressure. It wasn't just petty jealousy. It was a campaign. To crush me. To push me out quietly. So I wouldn't fight. So I'd leave without exposing them. They were trying to protect each other and bury me. Artem stood. You're not going back there alone. Not this time. We returned to the office together. I didn't care about protocol anymore. I didn't wait for appointments or ask for permission. I walked straight into Pavel's office, USB in hand, and dropped it on his desk. What's this? He asked, not looking up from his laptop. Footage, I said. From last night. He glanced at it, then at me. His expression never changed. Should I be concerned? You should be terrified, I snapped. Because it shows your wife destroying company property, sabotaging a senior employee. And it proves you knew about it before I ever said a word. He leaned back in his chair. Karina, he said calmly, you're clearly under a lot of stress. You're not going to gaslight me, I hissed. Not after everything I've survived. You and your wife tried to destroy my career. But I'm still here. You have no idea what you're stepping into, he said, dropping the pretense. Oh, I do now, I said. And I'm not afraid of you. He stood, slow and deliberate. You want to fight me? You'll lose. Maybe, I said. But at least I'll drag you down with me. I walked out, my hands shaking. I expected to feel strong, righteous, victorious. But all I felt was dread. Because now the war was open. And I knew they'd retaliate. I just didn't know how soon. By the time I reached my office, my email was locked. My keycard disabled. My nameplate gone. Katia was standing by my door with a smirk. You've been suspended, she said sweetly. Pending investigation. For what? I demanded. Breach of confidentiality. Unauthorized access to security systems. Tampering with internal data. I laughed. That's rich. Do you even hear yourself? She shrugged. Not my call. Pavel had moved fast. Faster than I expected. I'd hoped the footage would scare him. Make him retreat. But I had underestimated the depths of his arrogance. Or his wife's. Back at Artem's apartment, I collapsed on the couch, defeated. I should have left the moment I saw him smile at me, I muttered. I should have walked away from the job. From the flattery. From everything. But then you wouldn't have known what they're capable of, Artem said. Great, I sighed. Now I just need to figure out how to survive it. You will, he said softly. And you won't do it alone. I looked at him. For a moment, I saw the boy I once loved. The one I left behind because he couldn't grow up. But now, maybe he had. Maybe I wasn't the only one who changed. Can you get into the internal servers again? I asked. He hesitated. If I say yes, do I go to jail? If we don't act now, Pavel buries the footage. Deletes the reports. Spins the story. And I become the girl who slept her way to the top and then lost her mind. Artem sighed. Fine. One last time. We worked all night. Every dirty memo. Every internal message. Every unauthorized transaction. Every time Katia deleted or altered timestamps. We pulled it all. It wasn't just sabotage. It was a whole web of corruption. And in the center? Svetlana Andreevna. She manipulated employee evaluations. Orchestrated firings. Approved fake expense reports. She made sure Pavel's enemies disappeared and his favorites advanced, no matter how incompetent they were. She was the real power behind the throne. By morning, we had a complete digital file. But we needed more. I needed her to confess. So I sent a message. Let's meet. Just us. 1 hour. Same cafe as before. She replied within seconds. When I saw her walk in, she was calm, collected, dressed like she was heading to a gala. Not a hair out of place. I was a mess in yesterday's clothes and dark circles under my eyes. But I had something she didn't. I know what you did, I said, sliding a printed photo across the table. A still frame from the footage. She didn't even flinch. You came here for money? She asked. No, I said. I came here to give you a chance. To do what? To come clean. To step down. To disappear before this goes public. If you don't, I'll send everything to the board, the media, the police. She smiled. A slow, knowing smile. You poor, naive thing, she whispered. You think they'll believe you over me? Over us? You're not invincible, I said. No, she replied. But you're alone. I leaned in. That's where you're wrong. I walked out of that cafe with my pulse hammering so hard I could barely hear the traffic. Her words haunted me, you're alone. But I wasn't. Not anymore. Artem was waiting outside, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. The moment he saw my face, he straightened up. She didn't back down, did she? No, I muttered. She's not scared. She thinks I can't touch her. She's wrong. But I wasn't so sure. The next few days were a blur. I was officially suspended, and though I wasn't allowed into the building, my inbox still buzzed with messages from anonymous emails, from burner addresses, even from former coworkers. Half were thinly veiled threats. The rest were worse. Accusations. Lies. Screenshots taken out of context. Rumors that I slept my way into the role. That I threatened Pavel. That I tried to seduce married men to climb the ladder. And the worst part? People believed it. Even those I once trusted crossed the street when they saw me. Turned their backs. Avoided eye contact. No one wanted to be caught standing next to the woman who was going up in flames. Except Artem. He stayed. He worked around the clock trying to back up every file, verify every document, match digital fingerprints to accounts and aliases. "You need someone on the inside," he said one night, his eyes red from lack of sleep. Someone still working there. Someone who knows the whispers behind the walls. And who would risk that? I asked. He didn't answer. The next day, Katya called me. Yes, Katya. The same girl who once smirked at my locked office door. "I made a mistake," she said. "I thought, you were just another pretty face. You thought I deserved what I got. I didn't know they'd go this far. I didn't know. I was disposable too." Her voice cracked, just a little. "Splana found my fake sick days. Threatened to have me charged with fraud. Unless I gave her your schedule. Your contacts. Your passwords." My stomach turned. "She used you," I said. "She used everyone," she whispered. I didn't trust her. Not fully. But I didn't have the luxury of pride anymore. "If you want to make this right," I said, "prove it." Katya delivered. Hidden camera footage. Slack messages. Copies of internal emails where Splana instructed Pavel to fire 2 women who had confided in HR about hostile behavior. Those same women were escorted out like criminals, with no explanation. It was a goldmine. I organized everything into a digital file labeled Truth. Then I sent it to the board. Every last member. No cover letter. No warning. Just the truth. And I waited. Hours passed. Then a full day. Then another. Silence. Then, finally, a summons. The board was meeting. Behind closed doors. And they wanted me present. I dressed carefully that morning, nothing too polished, nothing seductive. Just honest. Real. Professional. I walked into the glass conference room like I had nothing left to lose. Because I didn't. All 12 members were seated. At the head, Mr. Dmitrenko, the chairman. He didn't smile. Didn't blink. "Karina Kuleshova," he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "We've received your materials. I hope you reviewed them." We did. The silence after that was unbearable. He tapped the folder in front of him. "What you've uncovered is deeply disturbing. But the methods you used, unauthorized access, surveillance, sharing confidential data with a terminated employee." "Self-defense," I said calmly. "Against a system that wanted to destroy me. Be that as it may, this situation has compromised our reputation." I swallowed hard. "So you're going to punish me for exposing the truth?" He didn't answer. Instead, he folded his hands. "We've made a decision. Pavel Volinsky is to be removed from his position as director, effective immediately." I blinked. "What?" "And his wife, Splana, will no longer be allowed any involvement in company operations or affiliates. Her security clearance is revoked. Permanently." I didn't speak. I couldn't. I just sat there, stunned. "You, Miss Kuleshova," he continued, "are being reinstated." My heart leapt. "But," he said, "only under one condition. Here it comes. You will assume the role of acting director. Effective today." The air was knocked from my lungs. "Me? You've demonstrated initiative, resolve, and a level of insight we require during this period of damage control. You know the truth better than anyone. You'll rebuild trust if you can." I didn't even remember leaving the room. My head was spinning. How had this happened? Yesterday, I was one step from being blacklisted from the entire industry. Today, I was in charge. Outside the room, Pavel was waiting. Our eyes met. He looked destroyed. Smaller. Older. Hollow. He opened his mouth, maybe to plead, maybe to curse me, but I walked past him without a word. Back in my new office, his office, I closed the door behind me. Sat at the desk. Touched the surface with my fingertips. The same space where he once smirked and said, "You'll lose." Well, I didn't. But the victory was short-lived. Because as I pulled open the first drawer, I found a note. Just one line, written in perfect cursive. "I'm not done with you yet." I froze. I knew that handwriting. It wasn't Pavel's. It was Splana's. And she never lost. I held the note in trembling fingers, reading that single line over and over again. "I'm not done with you yet." How did she get in here? Or worse, who let her in? I sprang to my feet and yanked open the office door. "Katya!" I barked. Was anyone in my office this morning? She blinked like I'd slapped her. And no, just the cleaning staff. And I think Artem dropped off some files. I swallowed hard. "Anyone else?" She looked me in the eye. "No one I saw." I nodded, but a cold shadow had already settled over my shoulders. The enemy wasn't just outside anymore. She was watching me. She wanted me to know she was still in control, even if I sat at the top. Back inside, I closed the blinds. The note was gone. Torn into tiny pieces and flushed away. Not because I was scared, but because I needed to stay sharp. Focused. Every move I made now had to be calculated, watched, recorded. Splana had already proven she was capable of anything. That evening, Artem came over. I didn't tell him about the note. Not yet. Instead, I handed him a glass of wine and stared out the window of my apartment, watching the lights flicker across the skyline. "You don't seem happy," he said softly. I shrugged. "I'm in charge now. And yet somehow I feel like I'm still being hunted." "Because you are," he said, not missing a beat. I turned to look at him. "She's not done. I know Splana's type. She didn't marry a powerful man just to fade into silence. She's already planning her next move." "I know. Then what's your plan?" I hesitated. "To survive." He stood, walked over, placed a gentle hand on my arm. "No, Karina. You don't just survive. You fight. And if you need help, I'm here. We're in this together now." Together. That word made my throat tighten. But I nodded. The next few days passed in a blur of meetings, press damage control, HR investigations, and employee reshuffling. It felt like trying to rebuild a house while it was still on fire. And then came the audit. An anonymous complaint, accusing me of financial misconduct. The sum was small, almost laughably so, 12,000 UH in discretionary funds redirected to non-authorized use. But it didn't matter. The moment the report landed on the board's table, the whispers began again. "She's corrupt." Knew she couldn't be trusted. From mistress to thief. It didn't take long to trace the origin of the fabricated documents, forged access codes, doctored signatures, and a time-stamped login from my ID. Only problem? That login happened while I was on a public panel on video. In front of hundreds of people. "It's a setup," Artem muttered, scrolling through the metadata. "She's getting desperate. Or cocky. She wants you out, Karina. She'll burn the whole building if it means burying you under the rubble." That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, haunted by shadows. Every creak in the walls made my pulse spike. And then I heard it. A soft click at the window. My breath caught in my throat. I crept to the edge of the curtain and peeked out. Nothing. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. And then I saw it. A small white envelope had been slipped through the mail slot. Inside, a flash drive. No label. No note. I hesitated for a long moment before plugging it into my laptop. A video file. Just one. It opened to grainy security footage. A hotel hallway. The timestamp was from 3 months ago, the night of the out-of-town business trip Pavel had accidentally forced me to join. And then I saw her. Splana. Wearing a dark coat, pulling out a set of hotel master keys from a purse. She opened my room. Slipped inside. 3 minutes later, she emerged, smiling. I sat back, blood draining from my face. So that night, that accidental booking mix-up? It wasn't a mistake. She was already planning something. But what? Why no? I had to know what she left in that room. Or what she took. I dialed the hotel's front desk at 3:12 a.m. and demanded the name of the staff member on duty that night. It took some threats, some bribes, a little manipulation. But finally, I had a name. And 24 hours later, I had a confession. She told me to erase the footage, the concierge admitted over a coffee, eyes darting nervously. Said she was cleaning up a personal mess. Offered me 5,000 UH to keep quiet. Did she mention me? He nodded slowly. Said you were trying to destroy her family. And that if you went down, it'd be your own fault. When I showed him the flash drive, his face went pale. You still have this? I do. He leaned forward. Be careful. That woman? She doesn't fight fair. No kidding. That night, I showed Artem the footage. This is it, he said. This is what we need. A direct link to sabotage. Premeditated. Deliberate. We go to the board? He shook his head. No. They'll bury it again. Then what? He smiled. A sly, dangerous smile. We go to the media. My stomach dropped. Are you insane? This will explode. It could ruin the company. Or save it. No, Artem. It'll ruin me. He stood, serious now. You said you wanted to survive. You wanted to fight. This is how. You expose her. On your terms. Not theirs. I stared at the screen, frozen on Svetlana's smirking face. If I pressed send, there would be no going back. Everything would change. But maybe that's what I needed. To burn the rot from the roots. I picked up my phone. And I hit upload. The video was online for just 20 minutes before the world began to burn. My inbox exploded. Calls from journalists. Board members. Rival companies. My mother. Karina, what have you done? She whispered over the phone, her voice trembling. What I had to, I replied, staring at the news headline already going viral. CEO's wife caught sabotaging deputy in jealous rage. Video evidence released. Some people applauded me. Others called me insane. But for the first time in weeks, I felt something resembling control. Like I had finally taken the steering wheel back from the chaos. By the next morning, the office was a war zone. Pavel stormed into the building red-faced, flanked by 2 lawyers. The board called an emergency meeting, demanding I attend. I walked in, head high, wearing the same blazer I wore on my first day at the company. Back when I believed in hard work and good people. They made me sit and wait. Classic intimidation tactic. Then the door opened. Pavel entered. Alone. His face was unreadable. Karina, he said slowly, do you have any idea what you've done? I exposed the truth. You've humiliated this company. No. Your wife did that. I just turned on the light. He paced the room, breathing hard. You don't know what she's capable of. I think I do. He stopped. Looked at me. There was something hollow in his eyes. Do you love her? I asked. He didn't respond. And that's when I realized it didn't matter. Love wasn't the weapon in this war. Ego was. Power. Control. The board arrived minutes later. No formal greetings. No coffee. Just stern faces and a projector screen loaded with evidence. I watched their expressions shift as they saw Svetlana enter that hotel room. And then, the final footage, her smashing the laptop outside my apartment. One of them muttered, Jesus Christ. Another rubbed his temples. We're sitting on a PR nightmare. By noon, Svetlana was escorted out of the building. Screaming. Threatening lawsuits. Swearing she'd destroy me. Pavel stood beside her like a statue, not saying a word. And then he turned and walked back inside. Alone. Later that evening, he knocked on my office door. May I? I nodded. He's Saturday, you know this company's going to bleed for a while. I know. Investors are nervous. Press is still circling like vultures. And half the staff doesn't trust either of us. I'm aware. He folded his hands. But you're still here. Yes. And you want to stay? I met his gaze. Not because I need this job, but because I earned it. He exhaled. Leaned back. For a moment, he looked exhausted. Human. She ruined everything, he said quietly. And I let her. I know, I replied. But now, you have a choice. He looked at me. Step aside, I said. Let me rebuild what you let her destroy. And to my shock, he nodded. By the next board vote, I was named interim CEO. Some applauded. Others whispered. I didn't care. I had the keys now. For the first few days, the building felt haunted. Employees avoided eye contact. My office still smelled faintly of his cologne. Her perfume. But every time I felt weak, I remembered the night I found my laptop smashed on the sidewalk. The night I stood sobbing, thinking it was all over. And I remembered what Artem said. You don't just survive. You fight. Speaking of Artem, I hadn't seen him in days. He ghosted me right after the video dropped. I wasn't sure if it was guilt, fear, or just relief that his part was over. But a week later, he showed up outside the building with a bouquet of badly wilted flowers and a sheepish smile. You're a hard woman to find, he said. I've been busy rebuilding an empire, I teased, arms crossed. An empire I helped save, he added. I rolled my eyes but smiled. Get in. You owe me dinner. That night, we sat on my balcony overlooking the city lights, wine in hand, silent for a long time. Do you regret it? He asked. I shook my head. Not 1 second. Even after everything? Yes, I whispered. Because for the first time in my life, I chose myself. He leaned closer, brushed a strand of hair from my face. What now, boss? I laughed. Now? I fix what's broken. I clean house. I remind the world what a woman at the top can really do. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't the end. This was only the beginning.